Good morning, Roger here from the sunny but a bit chilly Hallandsåsen in the south of Sweden. And this morning I'm going to read some William Blake, which is in this blog, which I've done here, which is entitled "For a Tear is an Intellectual Thing." William Blake. The return of Israel is a return to mental sacrifice and war. Take up the cross, O Israel, and follow Jesus. The Monk by William Blake. I saw a monk of Charlemagne arise before my sight. I talked with the grey monk as we stood in beams of infernal light. Gibbon arose with a lash of steel, and Voltaire with a racking wheel. The schools in clouds of learning rolled, arose with war in iron and gold. Thou lazy monk, they sound afar, in vain condemning glorious war. And in your cell you shall ever dwell, rise war and bind him in his cell. The blood red ran from the grey monk's side, his hands and feet were wounded wide, his body bent, his arms and knees, like to the roots of ancient trees. When Satan first the black bow bent, and the moral law from the gospel rent, he forged the law into a sword, and spilled the blood of mercy's Lord. Titus, Constantine, Charlemagne, O Voltaire, Rosso, Gibbon, Vane, your Grecian mocks and Roman sword against this image of his Lord. For a tear is an intellectual thing, and a sigh is the sword of an angel king, and the bitter groan of a martyr's woe is an arrow from the Almighty's bow. An analysis of that poem in ChatGPT. I'm not generally into poetical analysis. I tend to go along with the film Dead Poets Society, when the character of Robin Williams tears up the book of criticism, and read for yourself, reader, read and accept what's on the page, not what you've been taught to think. That's actually a quote from the publisher of the Dunciad by Alexander Pope, a guy called Morley. Anyway, let's just read this anyway, because although I'm not much given to poetic analysis, as I said, it gives a grounding in what we're going to move on to through this blog. He never can be a friend to the human race who is the preacher of natural morality or natural religion. Oh, actually, these are the words of William Blake in this poem in Jerusalem. He never can be a friend to the human race who is the preacher of natural morality or natural religion. He is a flatterer who means to betray, to perpetuate tyrant pride and the laws of that Babylon, which he foresees shall shortly be destroyed with the spiritual and not the natural sword. He is in the state named Rahab, which state must be put off before he can be the friend of man. You, O Diets, profess yourselves the enemies of Christianity, and you are so. You're also the enemies of the human race and of universal nature. Man is born a spectre or Satan, and is altogether an evil, and requires a new selfhood continually, and must continually be changed into his direct contrary. But your Greek philosophy, which is a remnant of Druidism, teaches that man is righteous in his vegetated spectre, an opinion of fatal and accursed consequences to man, as the ancients saw plainly by revelation, to the entire abrogation of experimental theory. And many believed that they saw and prophesied of Jesus. This is quite interesting. In the last few days blogging, I looked at Wittgenstein and his theory of pictures and language. Now, what William Blake has running through his work is this idea of spirituality, of looking within and finding each other from within. So he's a pious and religious spiritual man, but not a churchy man. I recall the Robert Graves interview with Malcolm Muggeridge, where he also says, I know my Bible, but I don't follow the Ecclesiastics, for instance. And this is the idea of the bond between man, humankind, and the creator, the one, the unknown and unknowable. So let's carry on with William Blake's explanation of that poem, The Monk in Jerusalem. Man must and will have some religion. If he has not the religion of Jesus, he will have the religion of Satan, and will erect the synagogue of Satan, calling the prince of this world God, and destroying all who do not worship Satan under the name of God. Will anyone say, where are those who worship Satan under the name of God? Where are they? Listen, every religion that preaches vengeance for sins, the religion of the enemy and avenger, and not the forgiver of sin, and their God is Satan, named by the divine name, your religion, O Deus. Deism is the worship of the God of this world by the means of what you call natural religion and natural philosophy, and of natural morality or self-righteousness, the selfish virtues of the natural heart. This was the religion of the Pharisees who murdered Jesus. Deism is the name and ends in the same. Now, for me, that recalls Pelagian's man's better than his thought to be, the nature of his free will, the ability to choose two paths. And I also think of Ben McBrady, The Last of the Jews, talking about Pelagius. Now, putting those seemingly contradictory thoughts together, I think doesn't result in a negation of either. And we'll come to that a little further in an analysis of the poem Europe of Prophecy, which has an interesting take, I think a very consistent take on the pure reason of the French Revolution leading to death and destruction, and the idea of peaceful revolution, civil disobedience, etc. So let's carry on. Man must and will have some religion. If he has not the religion of Jesus, he must have the religion of Satan. Where are we? Vengeance for sins, the religion of the enemy and avenger, and not the forgiver of sin, and their God is Satan. Named by the divine name, your religion, O Deus, Deism, is the worship of the God of this world by the means of what you call natural religion and natural philosophy, and of natural morality or self-righteousness, the selfish virtues of the natural heart. This was the religion of the Pharisees who murdered Jesus. Deism is the same and ends in the same. Voltaire, Rousseau, Gibbon, Hume charged the spiritually religious with hypocrisy. But how a monk or a Methodist either can be a hypocrite, I cannot conceive. We are men of like passions with others and pretend not to be holier than others. Therefore, when a religious man falls into sin, he ought not to be called a hypocrite. This title is more properly to be given to a player who falls into sin, whose profession is virtue and morality and the making men self-righteous. Foote, in calling Whitefield hypocrite, was himself one, for Whitefield pretended not to be holier than others, but confessed his sins before all the world. Voltaire, Rousseau, you cannot escape my charge that you're Pharisees and hypocrites, for you're constantly talking of the virtues of the human heart, and particularly of your own, that you may accuse others, and especially the religious, whose errors you by this display of pretended virtue, chiefly designed to expose Rousseau. Rousseau thought men good by nature. He found them evil and found no friend. Friendship cannot exist without forgiveness of sins continually. The book written by Rousseau called his Confessions is an apology and a cloak for his sin and not a confession. Now, what that brings to mind for me is the medieval play. I think it's called Syntaxia, written by a monk, and it's about the sin of pride, and is also thought to be the inspiration for the play Faust, which I think Marlowe wrote. But Syntaxia, I'll put a link in the description, is an intriguing play, which is kind of getting at what it is that deludes us or deceives us into kind of going astray, which we all do, obviously. Right, so let's carry on. But you also charge the poor monks and religious with being the causes of war, while you acquit and flatter the Alexanders and Caesars, the Lewises and Fredericks, who alone are its causes and its actors. But the religion of Jesus' forgiveness of sin can never be the cause of a war, nor of a single martyrdom. Those who martyr others or who cause war are deists, but never can be forgivers of sin. The glory of Christianity is to conquer by forgiveness all the destruction. Therefore, Christian Europe has arisen from deism, which is natural religion. Right, so that's William Blake. So those are Blake's words, and now this is the ChatGPT bit. In the vivid verses of William Blake's poem The Grey Monk, we are transported to a scene where historical and literary figures come to life in a tumultuous display of conflict and defiance. The imagery evoked by Blake's words is rich with symbolism and depth, inviting us to contemplate the timeless themes of war, morality, and the human condition. The poem opens with the speaker recounting an encounter with a monk of Charlemagne, a figure from the era of the medieval emperor. The monk, depicted as rising in infernal light, engages in a dialogue with the Grey Monk, leading to a confrontation that brings forth the spirits of Gibbon and Voltaire, accompanied by the embodiment of war in iron and gold. This dramatic tableau sets the stage for a profound exploration of power, resistance, and the consequences of human actions. As the verses unfold, we witness a striking portrayal of conflict and its toll on the Grey Monk, whose body bears the wounds of battle. The imagery of blood running from his side and his form resembling the roots of ancient trees serves as a poignant reminder of the physical and spiritual scars inflicted by war. Through these evocative descriptions, Blake invites us to confront the enduring impact of violence, the enduring struggle for peace and redemption. The poem takes an unexpected turn as it delves into theological and historical references, invoking Satan's defiance of the moral law and the shedding of mercy's Lord blood. The names of Titus, Constantine, and Charlemagne are invoked alongside Voltaire, Rousseau, and Gibbon, creating a juxtaposition of ancient and Enlightenment figures. This blending of epochs underscores the timeless nature of human conflict and the perennial quest for meaning and justice. Amidst this tapestry of imagery and allusions, Blake introduces a profound insight into the nature of human emotion and spiritual significance. The lines, "For a tear is an intellectual thing, and a sigh is the sword of an angel king," resonate with a profound understanding of the interconnectedness of human experience and divine presence. The juxtaposition of tears and sighs with intellectual angelic symbolism underscores the depth of human emotion and its transcendent qualities. In contemplating Blake's The Grey Monk, we're compelled to consider the enduring relevance of its themes in our contemporary world. The portrayal of conflict, suffering, and spiritual resistance speaks to universal truths that transcend time and place. Through its vivid imagery and thought-provoking symbolism, the poem challenges us to reflect on the complexities of human nature and the pursuit of peace amidst turmoil. As we navigate our own societal challenges and personal struggles, Blake's words serve as a timeless reminder of the enduring power of art to illuminate the human experience. The Grey Monk stands as a testament to the enduring relevance of poetry in capturing the complexities of our world and inspiring contemplation and introspection. In conclusion, William Blake's The Grey Monk offers a compelling exploration of war, spirituality, and human resilience. Through its vivid imagery, historical allusions, and profound insights, the poem transcends its era to speak to audiences across time. In contemplating its themes, we're invited to engage with fundamental questions about the nature of conflict, the pursuit of peace, and the enduring power of artistic expression. I then take a quote here from Lucian's Phalaris 1. I found the city in a ruinous condition, owing to the neglect of the magistrates who had commonly been guilty of embezzlement, if not of wholesale plunder. I repaired the evil by means of aqueducts, beautified the city with noble buildings, and surrounded it with walls. The public revenues were easily increased by proper attention on the part of the fiscal authorities. I provided for the education of the young and the maintenance of the old, and for the general public. I had games and spectacles, banquets and doles. As for rape and seduction, tyrannical violence or intimidation, I abhorred the very name of such things. Right, we then come to the poem The Grey Monk is at the end of the publication Jerusalem. And at the beginning, there's a frontispiece, which is a picture of a person walking into an archway. And this is William Blake's description of what that archway signifies. There is a void outside of existence, which if entered into, ennobles itself and becomes a womb, such as Albion's couch, a pleasant shadow of repose called Albion's lovely land. His sublime and pathos become two rocks fixed in the earth. His reason, his spectrous power covers them above Jerusalem. His emanation is a stone laying beneath. Albion, behold, pitying, behold the vision of Albion. On the right of the archway, half friendship is the bitterest enmity, said loss, as he entered the door of death, for Albion's sake inspired. The long sufferings of God are not forever, there is a judgment. Everything has its vermino spectre of the sleeping dead. So that's in reverse writing on the other side. There is a void outside of existence, which if entered into, ennobles itself and becomes a womb, which is Albion's couch. We've just done that bit. So everything has a vermino spectre of the sleeping dead. And here's the picture here. And then we come to these selections from Jerusalem, which I have made. Excuse me just a second. Are you guys going now? Right. Oh, good God. See you, darling. Turn this off. Yeah. Oh, part 2 to be continued. Oh,